think it's probably steadier than your old camera.
It might be. What you get from this is the unboxing, what comes with it when you buy this kit, as well as kind of my first initial impressions, just handling it, just setting it up, and the process of doing all that, all of which went smoothly. It's finally here. In the previous video, you heard me talk about selling the Sony and pre-ordering this. If you don't know what this is going to be the XT30, the Fujifilm X-T30. And a lot of you have been kind of asking for my initial thoughts as soon as I got it. This is from Adorama. I found them to have the best price without tax compared to B&H. I got it from them because I also have an Ebates card, so it gives me some cash back as well. Shooting this right now on the Google Pixel 3, but you can see exactly what I ordered. So I ordered the XT30 with the 15-45 kit lens, not the the 16-55, which was an extra $100. For my uses, I think I was considering between the two. I think this was going to be a bit better because one is going to be smaller, so more portable, which is more along the lines of the kind of shooting I do, as well as it has a narrower or a smaller minimum focus length, so you can really get close to your subject if you want to do that. And then I went with 35 instead of 23. I think 23 again was a little more, and I didn't want to shell that much out. Still f2.0, which is good, but f35 instead of f50 because my last lens on the Sony was an f50. And while it was great in low light, it was too close. It was only really good for portrait photography and the kind of videos I was doing. It limited what I could do, and I found myself using the kit lens more often than not. So I'm thinking having the wider lens is going to be better for, again, the kind of shooting I do, and this should be relatively good in low light. f1.8 versus f2, so hopefully we won't see too much of a difference there. But you can see my total came to $1,098. They said this was only like a pre-order, or at least they were making it seem, all the sites were making it seem that this is just a pre-order kind of deal. But as far as I could tell today, you're still able to get those. It just says it's in stock now. You can see, ooh, that's the camera itself with a nice box. Desk is a little messy because I still recently moved, and I'm gonna add this to my minimalist tech update, but there's the f35 separately, nice. So the other thing I touched upon in the last video when I was discussing this, why even though the Sony might have some pros over this, the a6400, one, it wouldn't feel like much of a change going from the a6300 to the a6400, and in my opinion wouldn't be worth it. The XT30 has a couple key specs that I think are going to make it stand out compared to the Sony. Those include the higher bitrate when shooting in both 1080p and 4K. So 1080p on the Sony a6300 wasn't as good. And I'd assume, even though it might be slightly improved, it still probably is a little bit of a hit or miss with that. I haven't seen much 1080p samples on that, so I don't know if they actually improved it much. The other thing was, I think with a higher bitrate, because this still has this Fujifilm is going to have higher bitrate in 4K, so it should have, from the comparisons I've seen, slightly better 4K footage, and it was actually slightly sharper. Here we are with the unboxing. The first thing we see here, I'm just going to keep this pretty simple. You have all your guides here and probably your warranty card there. That's a big, thick book. Probably in 2 languages, I'd assume. Maybe more. Maybe a couple languages in each book. This one here, let's see, do we think this is going to be the actual lens? Let's just take that out and get to that in a bit. Oh, maybe that's the lens and some accessories. Here's the actual camera itself. One of the biggest concerns I had, and probably will still have, is the smaller grip compared to the Sony. We'll see that in just a moment. Let's put that there nicely. Put that back on. I like to keep all my boxes and accessories the way I bought them, so when it comes to me upgrading or selling down the line for whatever reason, it helps me retain my resale value. Opening this up. So this is just for the kit lens, interesting. So you got some specifications here in what I would assume is Japanese. And some other languages there. Ooh, okay. So we have the kit lens itself. The size of my hand. So I've never actually used a Fuji before. So that was the other reason I wanted to really try out going to Fuji from Sony. And even though the Sony was, again, better in some aspects, the whole new experience of switching to a different camera is really what interested me. So again, we're going to unwrap all this in just a moment. This looks like a plug adapter, so maybe the plug they give us is European or Asian on this side. As far as plugging into the wall, again, we'll open that so that looks like it's part of the plug. Nice that they actually include a power adapter in there. You also, of course, get your strap. Should be USB-C. USB-C. Shorter cable. Looks like something's there. Looks like the battery for it. For that, let's see what this is. Are these to help with the strapping? Maybe that's to help with the straps. Not too sure. I usually don't actually have a strap on my camera. How do I get this one out? Push that in. And that should slide out a little more easily. Come on. Yeah, and that's the battery. Right off the battery, I can say that this is a little larger than the Sony's. Interestingly, the Sony a6400 people are saying has longer battery life than the Fujifilm X-T30. Not too concerned about that. Reason being is I also recently got a solar power bank, which I'll be talking about in just probably another video. 20,000 milliamps. And I'm just going to basically be running it off of that for the most part. That's what I even did with the Sony a6300, even though it was a micro USB cable attachment, but it still worked. Oh, wow. So small. It's hard to get good footage of the camera without having a good camera. But there it is, wow. Nice. Even without the battery, it's got some good weight. Okay, we'll put that there. And in fact, let's move these boxes to the side there. I didn't even get to the other lens. So before we even get into that, let's open the 35mm. I love all the black here. Boom. Interesting that it opens up that way. Keep your documents separately. Product registration. You know I'll never do that. Large microfiber cloth. More warranty and probably info manuals there. Well packaged, Fujifilm, well packaged. Is that supposed to be a lens hood or a lens adapter? I wish lenses came with ND filters. Nice, small, pretty compact there. Mounted that up, but let's stick with the 35mm. God, it feels so teeny. It feels a lot, it's definitely better quality, but it feels like the same size as the actual other 35 I had for the Sony, which was a manual. I believe it was a 35. And then, what is this? This is just so fair, whatever. You can put that back in. I guess it's kind of like a lens hood. It's a teeny little lens hood. And can I still put the cap back on? Yeah, I can still put the cap back on. So, a little lens hood there that doesn't stick out too much. No, let's see. This might actually be a lens bag. Maybe not a microfiber cloth. Was I right? Was I wrong? Nope, it's just a large microfiber cloth that says, if you can see that, Fujifilm on it. It's a nice touch. Won't be using that, so I'll actually just bag that back up. So that was for the 35mm. This is the 16 to 50, no, 16 to 45, excuse me. Silica. A clear cover. Haven't seen those before on camera. And it doesn't actually twist as nice as I'd like it. Just a weird motion there. As you can see, it just looks like something you'd see on a drink bottle almost. This looks almost identical to the Sony 16 to 50. Possibly the Sony was maybe slightly smaller. We're gonna go ahead and take that cover off, which is what I would think this one should be more like. And you'll see, God, this feels so retro. It feels old. Like, I have an old retro Nikon here. Just look how similar those are. Sorry again for the framing, but you can see, you don't even know which one's which. Almost. Moving on to perhaps one of the lesser important, least exciting parts of this. But this is a little power plug. So teeny. And again, this is the US size, so maybe they do this so they can sell to all their markets a little easily. Whereas this is more of a generic part, and all you have to do is slide one of these on. So this is the only actual part that they have to manufacture separately, whereas these you can send out to any customer. So let's see, it just slides right in. There's like a rail system. And I'd be curious, does it matter? It has to be this way. You only have one way that you can slide. I can see there's an opening, there isn't. So slide, slides nicely. I do wish the prongs like folded in on themselves, you know, make it just a lot more portable. And while we're on the topic of power, I need to buy more USB-C wires, that's for sure. Even though most of my devices are USB-C now, and actually made the transition pretty easily. I still have a ton of micro USB cables, but not so many USB-Cs. Plug that in. Boom. USB-C. If both ends were USB-C, that'd be nice too. But probably in our day and age, it's more convenient to have a Type A to USB-C versus USB-C to USB-C right now. While we're doing all this, let's put the lens cap back on to be safe. And wrapping up the battery, or wrapping up with the battery. Boom. This is a metal bottom. This feels more, maybe this one's plastic? This is plastic, but this feels like metal, or a material like that. Battery, you can see where it's gonna go in. See the prongs in there at the bottom? Slides right in. And actually, what's nice is orange to orange, so you know. Minor detail, but it helps. And I'll have to find a full-size SD card to put in there. Left my primary card at work, but luckily I have one of these, which has a ton of extra cards in here. You just want to make sure it is a fast card. As far as which way to put the SD card, you're gonna put that end front. Another little minor quirk I'm gonna notice is just to click it, you really have to push in there. I believe on the Sony it was that way, so it's just a little easier. You didn't have that door in the way, but so just be careful. I guess that could potentially be an issue. You can see how far it extends, the lens fully extended. Wow. Another thing is, this does feel a lot smaller in the hand, but when you're gripping it like this, it's actually not that big of a deal, I'm noticing. I'd say I'd have like medium-sized hands. I would like it a little larger. I know the Sony would extend like that a little more. You do have a little more confidence with just hand holding it like that, and especially like I said, I typically don't have a strap on there because I'm always throwing it on a gimbal or something or a tripod, and straps can get in the way. The other thing I did notice right off the bat, so one, I did accidentally turn it on because there's the power switch right there. Nope, that is not. That is the flash. Ooh, that feels good. Let's do that again. Putting that back in, that feels good. Where's the power button? Oh, on, off. That's not. So yeah, people complain about these buttons being easily switchable. Not these, not these. You can accidentally click. Yeah, I can see how you can accidentally click your buttons pretty easily. But I'm actually going to do the setup process real quick here. Let's see if I can show you that. Well, I guess I can't because I need to pair it to this phone. Coming back from registering on the app, and actually is pretty easy. Instructions, I just had to install the app, literally hit OK, pair with smartphone, and then it starts searching. The phone started searching, and they paired within like 10 seconds, so that was really quick and seamless. And then it asked me, do you want to take the time, date, and location from your phone, or you can select them individually? I just said yes to all. I just thought that was most convenient. The phone obviously, the camera obviously comes with low battery, so you need to keep that in mind. So I'm actually about to put that on the charger right now before we proceed any further. I've already misplaced the charger? Nope, it was just right here. The USB-C cable they give you is short. I have an outlet right there, and I can't even get the... It's right there. That's where the cable ends. Pretty short. But it allows us to demonstrate something. So on the side here, you'd think it would slide open to get to that compartment, but instead, oops, almost dropped it. It's one of those. Flips out. So what I'm actually going to do, because I have a longer USB-C cable powering my phone, here's the convenience of it. Switch that out. See it? Plug it right in. Boom. Green light indicates that it is charging. Take the smaller USB-C cable and charge my phone with it. Moving on, I did notice a quirk. It said my memory card was full. I thought I emptied it, but let me just check real quick to make sure it is in fact... It wasn't lying. It was in fact full. So let's go ahead and empty that out. Formatted. Plop it back in. Biggest complaint so far is in fact putting in SD cards. It's not that way. Again, we said this way goes towards the back. Slide that in. You don't have to have nails, or God forbid you have really chubby fingers, because that's hard to push in. And again, I accidentally turned on the camera because this thing just moves so easily. I guess that is also a really big concern. This is more of a gripe on the lens itself, but it is not a smooth... Compared to the Sony's, that is not as smooth. And then turning this dial here just does not feel good. Don't like the sound it makes. Don't really like how it feels. It'll take some getting used to get it really smooth. It might not be as big of a deal. Let's see if I can kind of demonstrate that a little better. That one's fine, but the outer dial, I guess that's for more incremental, more fine-tuning. We'll have to figure that out later. But those are my first quick thoughts on the camera itself, along with, of course, the unboxing. I do have a lot I want to share about this, but I want to get a little more comfortable with it before I actually share any kind of review or comparison to the Sony, all of which I have coming in store. So far, I'm not going to be able to get into the actual nitty-gritty of this until I've actually been using it for a while. I don't want to give any kind of false opinions about it. But of course, what you get from this is the unboxing, what comes with it when you buy this kit, as well as kind of my first initial impressions, just handling it, just setting it up, and the process of doing all that, all of which went smoothly. Quickly summarize some of the weird things that I did notice about it. You can easily turn it on and off from there. which can be an issue. Some of the buttons, like people say, you do accidentally press them. When going through the settings, because I did play around and just switch some settings that I noticed I would need to switch up, I did notice the menu system, while a lot smoother, or while a lot easier to navigate through, I just noticed, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. For example, we want to switch that out. Nope, that's not a good example. Maybe that kind of demonstrated it, but that I don't really like. That half-second black bar. Again, nitpicking here. As far as the dial itself, sometimes I'll mean to click and I'll accidentally turn, like right there. I meant to click, just because it's a little smaller. It's just so teeny there. But it's convenient to have, I will say, and I do prefer it over Sony's kind of joystick option. I do like that it's a touchscreen as well, except I don't like that I can't scroll through things or select things like that. Weird. So I'm going to continue to play around with it, share my thoughts, and then eventually I'll be able to give more of a review. I'll start doing cinematics. Maybe I can do a cinematic this weekend on it so you can see the 4K quality on it and the 1080p slow-mo, which is something I'm really interested in. Those are all things that you can definitely stay tuned for, and I think you guys will really be interested in it. And then I'll be able to give my comparison to what I think coming from the Sony a6400 and if I thought it was a worthwhile upgrade. So I appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, I just want to churn this out really quick for you guys looking for the unboxing and quick initial impressions of this thing. Subscribe and stay tuned for more content on this camera and things related to cinematics. Thanks.